Hello and welcome to What I Learned This Week. This week I'm going to show you guys how I schedule. So hey, this is my calendar. I'm using my personal one for this because I didn't want to muck around with the Doig Swift one too much in case I did anything I couldn't fix. But as you can see, I have today filled in rather than filling it in a long time in advance, just because it allows me to remain more flexible. I like using Google Calendar for this because you can connect it to your phone, which means that you can get all kinds of notifications and things when there's an event coming up that you don't want to miss and you might be out of the house, and it will send you all kinds of alerts and everything depending on what you've got set up, so you'd never have to miss anything that you plugged into your calendar. The main thing though is that I don't use Google Calendar just by itself. I always couple it with a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet contains the list of all the things I need to do, which are then the things that I will plug into my calendar for the day. So let me show you. This is my task sheet. It contains all the projects I have going on at the moment. So I have tabs for freelance work, the Girl in the Glim comic, Patreon, YouTube, ABC music collaboration, personal development, and family. Let me just take you through what's in each one so you know what kind of thing is contained in them. So if I go to my freelance tab, you can see, and each sheet is set up more or less the same way, that I have the tasks. So these are the names of the project, and I put them in code because I'm sorry, but I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you exactly what it is I'm doing. And then I have steps to completion. Now this is really important because it takes it from being foggy and cloudy and hard to actually decipher and get a grasp on into something actionable that you can do. So rather than finish this thing, I've divided it into actual things I can do, 3 hours of concepting characters. So that's something I can definitely achieve. Once I've done 3 hours of that, I know I've completed this task. I will change these up whenever new tasks surface within this project, or whenever I finish a task, I will take it off this or update it to something else. So this is always fluid and changing. So you can see here I have steps to completion, approximate time needed for these steps, just so I can kind of keep a handle on how much I think I'm going to need to set aside for these projects. Like, I often work in 1.5 or 3 hour blocks, so I know this would be one block, for example. And then we have what date it's due. So deadlines, which are, for example, today is bright red, just so when I'm flicking through this, it'll catch my eye and I'll go, oh, that I need to do that today. As I approach the deadlines, I will change these from green to yellow to red, like a traffic light system. The Girl in the Glim comic, same kind of thing. Date, due, approximate time needed, steps to completion, and tasks. Patreon, slightly different, just content needed for the update and when the update is due to go up. And sometimes I'll have more than one of these on at the same time, so I'll do more than one update at a time, and then we can stagger those. YouTube, as you can see, I'm a bit behind on my YouTube work. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get done really soon. We had a bit of trouble with power last week, so we've got 2 days less than we normally would have to do stuff. The ABC music collaboration, which is a collaboration I'm doing with some friends. Personal development. Now this is a bit different. This has no due date, because what I use these for is essentially if I happen to have free time at some point, rather than kind of waste it away wondering what I could be doing, I just go to this personal development tab and I'll plug one of these into my calendar in that slot, so I've got something active which is going to improve my art to do then instead. And then family, again, no explicit due date, just colours for you should probably do this really soon, or you can do this in the next couple of weeks or so. What happens then is I look through these, I figure out what's most essential for me to do, what's got the most impending deadlines, this project, because it's for an external client who I don't want to let down. So what I do every morning is I'll pop onto my task list and I will update it with the things I'm going to do for that day. So here you can see I've got the project on there. I also have the WILTW that I'm recording right now. I have Girl in the Glim work. I've also popped on, just as an example, an email I need to send. The reason I put this on is just to show you how I handle email. What I will do when I've completed a task is I will highlight that task in green. It's like, yes, I did that. I can see it. It's on my list. It's gone green. I always leave the tasks on there. I'll clear them off the next morning rather than that day. But in the case of things like emails, often you have to wait for someone to get back to you before you can call that task done. So that's why I have this little waiting for column. So I've decided that if they don't reply, I'm going to recontact them in a week's time. So looking at my calendar here, a week's time is the 22nd. So I'll pop in here, 22nd of Jan. And I'll leave that task there. If they haven't got back to me by the 22nd of Jan, when I look at this again, I'll be like, oh, I need to email them again and get a reply from them. So with other projects, say I completed this, I would turn it green, and then tomorrow morning, I would either just update it with the next thing I need to do, or I would clear it off for something else instead. If there is a task that you've put on there that you don't manage to do, roll over to the next day, and then at the beginning of that day, highlight it, pop a bit of red on it, and that's essentially saying, hey India, you were meant to do this yesterday and you haven't done it yet. You should probably get on that and prioritise that and make sure it's in your calendar. And if I ignore it another day, I will make it more red and more red and more red until it's a maximum red, and it's really stressful, and I should just get it done to clear the red off my sheet because it's horrible seeing it there. Once you have this task list set up for yourself, which you update every morning, I then just pop over to my Google Calendar, and that's what I will put in for the day. Life event, I will schedule in so I can see. So, for example, we had a Tesco delivery come in today of food, so I have just popped that into my calendar whenever we ordered it. I think it was Saturday we ordered it, so I popped it in on Saturday just to make sure that when I came to my calendar this morning, it was in there and I could see how much time I had to work with. Because the thing is, unexpected things happen during the day. So you want to make sure when you're starting to schedule your time at the beginning of the day, you are aware of any commitments you already have that day, you've already put them in, and also that you're flexible. If you wake up and you're feeling ill, you can think, okay, I need to take it more easy today. I'm going to schedule in slightly less stuff for myself. Or if you are looking through your task list and you're thinking, well, if this was 2 days ago or last week, I probably would have scheduled this in for myself, but this project has suddenly come up and I know now that it's super urgent and I really need to get on it and do it. You can pop that in instead. Whenever things come up, just make a new tab for them. Project X just happened. It's bloop bloop kind of thing and it's due right now. Whoop. Take the project at the beginning of the day and be like, oh crap, I need to work on this like immediately. So I'm going to pop that in for however long I think it's going to take to do, which of course I would write on my task planner. That's the advantage of doing it day to day rather than at the beginning of the week and carrying that through. And the only other thing to note really is that I have given all these different colours. The Girl in the Glim is purple, Patreon is blue, YouTube is red, the collab is orange, etc, etc. And what this means is at a glance I can tell what kind of projects I have in. So I know that green is life events, it's family and stuff, it's everything which isn't work, essentially keeping up with social stuff and feeding myself. And if I see purple, I know it's Girl in the Glim. All these reds are YouTube, etc, etc. Yeah, that's how I schedule, and I find it super useful because often you will, if you don't have a calendar like this, there is a big temptation to schedule yourself in for 8 hours of one thing, 4 hours of another, 6 hours of another, and you don't stop to think about how much time that accumulates to, and you don't stop to look at what you have sealed in for that day already that you have to do, that is going to perhaps prevent you from doing that. Having a calendar you can look at with things already programmed in makes you see exactly how much time you have in the day to do this stuff, and often it's less than you think it's going to be, especially when you do what I like to do, which is to pad things out with 15-minute or half an hour gaps, just to allow for overrunning. This method is one which I developed from what Bobby Chu showed me at CTN one year. This is very similar to the kind of calendar that he uses to great effect. And one of the things I learned from him that I'm trying to do more of myself is it is much harder to be productive over a long block of time. What I found most useful is to schedule in short manageable blocks of time, but to consistently do them every day. 3 hours worth of work every single day will get you further than 5 hours worth of work in one day, or 5 hours worth of work every day, in fact, because the work for 5 hours won't be as focused. You'll start getting tired, your mind will drift off. Honestly, when I was working at Boulder Media and I was using my lunch breaks to write story points for Girl in the Glim, I often got a lot more done in those 45-minute lunches than I did in 2.5 hours at home, where I'm distracted by Twitter or YouTube or phone calls or whatever else is going on at the time. 1.5 hour to 3 hour blocks is my advice, unless you're like me and you have a deadline you really need to get to. Crunch time is always going to happen. But in general, try to keep your work blocks short. One other quick tip that I got from my friend Reka, who came and stayed with us and helped us to complete Girl in the Glim on time: get a timer and set the timer for 3 hours. All computers have one, so use the computer timer and have it up on a screen, and being able to see your time ticking down, like, you'd be amazed how focused you suddenly get when you can see the seconds ticking down. Suddenly it's no more distraction. I'm going to get to this. I only have 15 minutes left of this 2 hour block, and oh geez, I didn't do as much as I thought I was going to do on it. So that's a really good way to motivate yourself. Oh, also, you can see here all the things that I have to do this week. In fact, I've done these things. Often when things just pop up willy-nilly in my life that I wouldn't expect, like I get contacted by someone via Facebook, I'll pop them on this list and then clear them off at the end of the day. I'll just tick those off in the 15-minute breaks I have or the lunch breaks I have. Again, turning things green and ticking boxes, like, there's a happiness unlike any other, I swear. Thank you guys for coming with me on this magical tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. If you guys have any scheduling tips yourself or use a different system that you find really helpful, then please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, see you later, anime!